All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful day. Bullets were definitely dodged, and even though we had futures down 5% in the morning yesterday, we somehow managed to close green on the NASDAQ, and partly because there was a rumor that caused one of the biggest moves in decades. Yes, we're going to talk about that, but when it's all said and done, there was a couple of trade developments. Sadly, we end the day with a lot more questions still unanswered, but the fact that we avoided Black Monday, it's kind of looking good and people are feeling a little better, but now we still have the bank earnings, a little bit of data this week, and now all eyes are still on any future trade developments. So we got a lot to cover. I have the plays, the keys, what you need to be looking for, what I need from you, a thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed, and if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open, youtube.com/the stock market. We will see you there in the morning, baby. Run it.
Working to the couch, it's the 2020 election. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
Right off the bat, before we get into the keys, we got to talk about this rumor. This was actually the third largest intraday swing in the last 15 years. A lot of our calls, we were able to make a lot of money because every single straddle that was killed on the call side, they all went green for about 4 minutes by about 50 to some even 1,000%. I was able to sell out of all of them, and then people found out that nothing really happened. And what was the rumor? That there was a 90-day trade deadline on all of the tariffs. And where did it come from? This is absolutely crazy. It was from trade advisor Hassett, and it was on Good Morning America. Pretty much they asked him, will you do a 90-day pause? And then there was like a little gap between like cutting over, and you hear him utter, yeah, and then he says, yeah, I think the president is going to decide. And then for about 5 minutes, people took that as, yeah, there's about to be a 90-day delay, and everybody went crazy, causing the third largest intraday swing in the last 15 years. And now here is that clip. This is crazy.
Will you do a 90-day pause? Would you consider that?
Or Bill, yeah, I think
that was it.
Going to decide what the president's going to decide. There are more than 50 countries in negotiation with the president.
So again, very normal quote. This, yeah, right here.
Or Bill, yeah, I think
right there. I don't know if he was like talking to somebody else or he was speaking in the background, but that right there is what caused this giant-ass move. And then we came back down, and then pretty much after that, if you even go look, man, these are like 20-point swings, but this move was so large you barely even see it. So that's what we got today. That was the first driver besides gapping down 5%. By morning, it was really about 2 or 3. The bonds were down, and there's a lot of theories floating around. We're going to talk about TLT when we get to the plays, but when it's all said and done, there was still that hangover from the futures. A lot of countries did bad. We didn't open up as bad. We went lower, hit a low, and then right as we started hitting these levels, those rumors came in, and then we started bouncing, and then about an hour later, things got a little worse. Now, this, I think, is the major part of the day because right after you had that rumor, Trump started talking, and then I believe it was right around here, he put out a Truth Social saying that he is going to raise tariffs on China by another 50%. Now, before you say that's not feasible, which I would agree with you, fact of the matter is that is escalation. And then we went down, and then you popped back up and did the dance. But generally, he reiterated it a couple times, but the market barely reacted. And I think this is a big deal. One, not only is he raising the tariffs, and what he said, he pretty much said if China doesn't lower by tomorrow, the day before the tariffs, then they're going to get this 50% increase. But beyond it just being aggressive and then could potentially lead to a reaction with China, which caused the gap down on Friday. Remember, we hit them, and then they hit back with that 30% the next day. That's what caused that gap down on Friday. That's what we got to be worried about. It's not necessarily guaranteed that it will happen, but now Now, here is the other thing I want you to think about. Trump is going way faster than Trump 1.0. If you guys remember Trump 1.0, he would talk a lot of smack with China, but before he was like 30, 40, 50, double it. Before he started doing any of that, he would wait a couple weeks and months and things would happen. Now he's doing this after a couple of days. So imagine after the whole weekend, him, Lutnick, everybody else doubling down saying, nah, we're sticking with our plan. No Trump put exists. Again, Powell and the Fed, they kind of had Larry Fink and the bond guys doing their work for him today, but they didn't really say much. Rate cut odds started to go back. But now, after the whole weekend and saying we're sticking with the plan, Trump comes out and is already saying, yeah, we're going to move to the next step, 50%. So we'll see what China says, but I think any of these updates, and again, however the EU responds, we heard that they were willing to do 0 for 0 in some areas. We heard, again, Taiwan and other countries. There was some good pieces of news, but the general uncertainty and now the overhang of the big countries, EU and China, with that not resolved, all the other deals are somewhat minor. So we'll see how it all plays out, but this is why I'm saying I think things got a little bit worse in terms of the trade rhetoric, but the market's already down, or at least touched down 15% in the last 3 days. So we'll see where we go from here. But that is key number one. Key number two now, I really want you guys to understand this. That rumor, whether people were reaching or not, and again, ended up being fake. The White House even said it was fake. Clearly a misunderstanding if you see that video clip, but it is a very good sample of what a good headline can do, and that's really good news because you just watch sentiment get destroyed, the markets and all this value seemingly overnight disappeared, but with one set of delays, negotiations, you're telling me you could be up 200 points in 4 minutes, the biggest move in almost 2 decades. So that's a good sign, and that just goes to show that, yes, you should take this seriously while it's serious. Again, you're watching the negotiation. All of this is just happening. Like I'm telling you, it's a bomb. You got to pay attention. Whatever you think, you got to take it seriously. And there's still a lot of stuff we don't know. But now, this is exactly why people keep saying, oh, it's a negotiation, or wait till there's good news, because once we get a deal in place, or once we get the good side after all this bad, that is now holding a lot of room to the upside. So keep your eyes out for that. But in the meantime now, you're still in a bear market. That's what you just hit. And these negotiations are going to take time. Trump is moving fast. But if you haven't noticed, a lot of other countries, they realize that what Trump did was aggressive. And you already have people clamoring over what he is doing. They're all moving slow. They want to see, okay, well, is he not bluffing? If he's not bluffing, take your time in responding. Let's see how long he'll last. And that's why it feels like everyone's taking their sweet time. So like we talked about on the watch list last night, you actually get the official tariff start here on Wednesday. We're going to get the CPI and other stuff. So we'll see. But it does seem like some of these bigger countries, I think they're going to take their time, as that could kind of work in their advantage of squeezing some of this pressure on Trump. So we'll see how that plays out. But other than that, I would be patient. We'll see what this week brings us. But we definitely have a lot in store, because after we get over policy and all that, remember, it's earnings. So watch out for that. That is key number two. And then finally, my brothers and sisters in Christ, be humble, okay? Or is that my brothers and sisters in Kendrick? But, remember that? Sit there, be humble. Everyone loved that song. But don't fall in love with any ideas right now, and don't make your mind up. I promise you. And just very simple. Realize that right now you are at the recognize and react stage. If there is good news, you need to recognize that in terms of trade policy, a good negotiation, and react accordingly. You will get paid out if you could do that. This is not the moment now to predict and plan. What is China going to do? What is going to happen here? What happens tomorrow? Doesn't matter, because if it does happen, chances are there's going to be few methods to play it. And now the market is already moved so much that sadly, sometimes when it starts moving in your direction, the plays, again, they're going to be harder to hit after this mass volatility. And right now, you're making more money by simply reacting. Even today, reacting to the rally, reacting to the downside, that was able to do a lot better. And why I'm saying this is because We don't know. There's a lot of things. What's China going to do? What's Trump going to do? What's the economy going to do? I think you should be aware of demand destruction. I think you should pay attention to certain factors and watch the Fed and other things, and we'll see how this all develops. But right now, a lot of people are talking a lot of different ideas, and I would just take everything with a grain of salt. We could be wrong about bonds. We could be wrong about the market, and we've already had a crash course in that over the last couple of years. That's why I'm saying we're living in a weird time. We're still at the tail end of that. I don't think anything is going to change, and that's why just don't get boxed in. Don't try to force anything, and if you're humble and kind of take it as it comes in and recognize and react rather than trying to predict and make something fit a plan, I think you're going to be a lot better. You still should have a plan, a broader one, long-term, and stick to it, but like I'm saying here, at this point now, let's go through these days. Is there good news, bad news? Recognize it, react to it. Again, on some days, I think today I recognized it as bad news. I reacted a little bit, but I've been doing a lot of both ways plays too because now we have moved so much. So I don't think you need to predict much. I wouldn't really stress out too much, and until we get to the next stage and resolving this and getting the new info and seeing what the market's looking ahead for, I think this is going to be very important. So watch out for that. That is your final key, but when it's all said and done, you got another big week ahead, Chad, so you better be locked in. We're about to talk about the plays now, but Chad, let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, man, I thought I explained this well on TLT, or the plays yesterday, but it is time for TLT. And what I mean by that is for the next 2 weeks, I think there is a gamble on the table, meaning that I think buying a cheap TLT call is worth it. Why? Because anytime we have experienced this amount of volatility, the bonds react. And now, listen, bonds are going down. You heard Gunlock, everybody. I don't care. None of that matters. I'm telling you, you could try to figure out what's going on with the bond market right now. This is coming from Josh, the guy who goes the bonds, all that. It doesn't matter. All you need to realize is bond volatility is going up. I had everybody today talk about bonds getting clobbered, but nobody mentioned the MOVE index. My brother in Christ, these last couple of days, even with the bonds not going up, you could kind of view it even like the shore pulling in, because even the bonds getting the floor blown out, the stock market moving down 10% and the bonds unchanged, yeah, that's very volatile with some of these moves. And again, when bond volatility goes up, this isn't over. I mean, pretty much the last time you had that happen with bond volatility, you had a big bond gap down. Next 3 days, it popped back up, then sold off, pinned for a week, then fat gap up, and then ultimately died. I think the next couple of weeks are going to be very exciting with bonds. And the basic thing that I am telling you, why do I think for the next, again, short-term gamble, I don't think you overshoot it, and I think I have that written here. Like I'm saying, don't overthink it. There's a lot of smart guy reasons to do this or do that, but as long as you get a cheap play, don't go crazy with the budget, and don't get outside of your range until we confirm things, I think it's worth it, because anytime the volatility has been this high, anytime markets get damaged to this nature, the bonds are usually a good play. You could tell me about America, China, all that. That's great and all. And you could tell me it's different this time. And you know what? Maybe it is, but until that gets proven in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to buy a cheap-ass bond play with the market getting destroyed 10% and the bond still not moving. That is the only volatility play that is not reacted. So, like I'm saying, the play over the next few weeks, it's going to be bonds. I even hit a 1,500%er on the puts of TLT. So I'll just tell you this. Do I think cheap TLT calls for not that long? Again, this is just a short window. As long as the market stays extremely volatile with trade policy and down, I think it'll be good to look at the bonds. Down the line, we'll revisit, and this trade idea after a couple weeks, we're going to have to reset it, and this idea goes out the window. But point is, there's a lot of opportunity with TLT. Like I'm saying, lagging behind the market in terms of volatility, but even that play I hit right now, I'll just give you guys another gem. And here's the deal. I'm going to put a gem right now on the watch list, and this will be a great play strategy I think you could do over the next couple of weeks, or maybe paper trade it and try it out. But this is what I want you to do. Tomorrow when we're live and anybody asks me about TLT and they're like, how much time? Again, I didn't tell you the time, but I told you the time if you really listened to this video. But here's the deal. I just want you to just tell them, watch this every time. Like, kind of like mine, like, Finding Nemo. That's what I want you guys to do to them tomorrow, okay? That's my payment for this gem I'm about to give you. And here's what I wanted to tell you. One, you could go for TLT calls, but flip TLT both ways. Very simple strategy. Are you ready? Do the opposite of whatever it's doing in the morning. I know it sounds so easy, but it's Geico. So easy a caveman can trade it. Because if you just short it or sell calls in the morning if it's up and then go to the downside, that has worked out very well. And then by the end of the day, you just go the opposite way, and then you can play that for the next day. I've been doing that a lot lately, so I'll share the secret with you now, and we'll see where it takes us. But TLT, next 2 weeks, I think, is on watch, my friend. So watch out for that. That is play number 1. Then play number 2, Boeing. I made a play on it today. I only have the puts for now. I'm waiting for what I told you guys is going to happen. I think maybe one of these days we will get relief. Stocks will go up, and then middle of the day, all the plays will still be up, and then you'll notice all of those calls will start coming down, even though the stock is green, because it will not be moving as fast as what the options have been pricing on this volatility. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for, but I'm expecting at some point you're going to get a tariff headline related to Boeing, either EU or China. They are going to attack Boeing. We already got early word of it. I think you're going to hear it again. So watch out for that. That is play number 2. And then finally, play number 3. I'm kind of down to dabble with this. Let's shop for these tomorrow. But selling puts, premium. If China and any of the other escalations don't cause any more downside, you may get more relief this week. And you already saw how much drama we have gone through, and if nothing really brings us down after, again, we just absorbed a 15% decline in the last 3 days. That's massive. I'm telling you, it's absolutely mind-blowing. Make no mistake of what you just went through. It's definitely does not happen too often, but with that being said, you're still kind of holding up. Puts are super far at the money. Puts are going for a ton of money. This is the environment where it's like some people want to scale in the option volatility, even again, the downside risk to like futures. There's still that volatility, but if you sell puts with a certain amount of downside, you could take advantage of low strike prices, high premium. This may be the environment for the next week. So I'm going to be looking at some of these. We'll see if we could get any opportunities. So other than that, I made a lot of plays today. It was funny because any intraday plays, they didn't really work, albeit we did hit 1,000% daily call, or it's for tomorrow. I grabbed a bunch of them at 30 cents at the bottom. I was up a little bit, and then the rumor came in, and then they went 1,000%. I literally sold a couple of them at 1,000%, held free ones. I tried to hedge it with the put. That got washed, and really, I made a shit ton of money by selling everything on that lucky pop. I had Broadcom, SPY, old QQQ. They all came back to life. I even had, if you remember, it was like late day Friday. Do you guys remember I did that SPY call and I was telling you how like it was the value was changing and it was weird? Well, that play was clobbered this morning, and then I was up on it like 100%. So I made that play free. So now I have a bunch of free calls. I made every old call free, and then we had the 1,000%er, and that was really a lot of where things came. I did do a day trade on Restoration today, got 100% on that, sold that one on the pop, did Bank of America both ways for earnings, and then that play popped, and I made money, so I just got out of it. But other than that, I'm going to be watching Intel and Nike tomorrow. I think those will be interesting. Again, anything related to Vietnam. Watch out for that. Staples got murdered, so maybe they burn one this week, or maybe this is the week they come back. But other than that, we wait for trade policy, see where it leads us, and then hopefully the market gets some answers. Otherwise, bond volatility. But Chad, that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure Hydra Healthy ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. And I need you to remember the ability to do great, to do bad, all of it. It comes from above, my brother. Amor fati. Take life as it comes. Don't force anything. In this market, in life, what's yours is truly yours. Okay? And I don't know how many times you got to go through it to learn it. Believe me, I've been there. But you are going to do so well when you do not force it, okay? That sound good? All right. NASDAQ futures up 1%. And Horna.